ask me, I would never say that I'm the greatest player, you know, and that's because I never played against all the people that represented the league prior to Michael Jordan.
Your Hall of Fame induction this week has given everybody a chance to look back at their favorite Michael Jordan moments. Everybody has one. I wouldn't expect you to have one, although maybe you do. But what are a couple of them? What's important to us may not be important to you. What sticks out to you when you watch all this stuff?
Wow. Yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff going across the TV and a lot of highlights and things of that nature, and you know, they all represent me. I can't. It's like Coach Smith says all the time. He says, you know, you ask me what's the greatest player that ever played at the University of North Carolina. He said that's like asking which one of my kids is better than the other kid. You know, I find it very difficult for me to single out all the things that I've done in the game of basketball, which has been, you know, attributed to a lot of hard work and supportive people over the past, you know, 20-some years. I can't pick one moment. You know, I can say, okay, my whole name changed from Mike Jordan to Michael Jordan when I made the shot in 1982. But, you know, obviously to finish up in 1998 making a shot at, you know, Utah, coming back, and, you know, last shot I made in Chicago Bulls. I mean, those are two that I think you can continue to find more in you know, my baseball years. People look at my baseball years and they put so much, you know, negative twist on it. To me,
you love those. You love that.
I wouldn't change that for nothing in the world, because I saw genuine people trying to achieve their dream with the faintest idea, if they could or couldn't. You know, very few of them do, you know, but you can never tell them, you know, and I couldn't even tell them. I just enjoyed being around them, because that to me was true passion for the game that they truly love. So, I mean, there's so many things in my career that I just can't pick one out and say, you know, that's my favorite.
Sick game is mine, but that's another story.
Which one? The sick game. Yeah, but what about the dream team? You know, all of us playing together and, you know, practices and blah, blah, blah.
Barcelona, I mean, the Monte Carlo game, which I got to see a little bit of.
Yeah, Magic don't like that one.
No, I can imagine.
He doesn't. There's a lot of trash talking going on.
One of the last things I want to ask you about, the dream team. When talk about commercialism, I mean, at first, I mean, it was driving it, and you didn't really want to be a part of that. But then when you got with those guys, you were into it instantly. How did it change, and how important is the dream team to your life?
Well, anytime you represent your country, you know, that's a privilege. You know, because of all the business, all the corporate things surrounding it. You know, the dream team, first-time professionals played in the Olympics, blah, blah, blah. It added a little different flavor to it, you know. My best Olympics experience was 1984, without a doubt. I don't compare the two, because I stayed in the village. I got the chance to meet other athletes. We understood and we got to accept the Olympic experience. You know, in 1992, the dream team was somewhat an overshadowing activity, because, one, we didn't stay in the village. We had security guards everywhere we went. You know, it was totally different than the first experience. But yet, you know, my reason for being a part of it wasn't because of the commercialized aspect of it. Was I never had the chance to see how these other all-stars prepare themselves for a game or practice or compete against them each and every day. What was their desire? What was their hunger? What drove them to eat? What drove them to play? So me, it was being a part of them and seeing them socially, but then taking that on the basketball court and competing, and at the same time representing your country. I mean, that to me was why I played in the 1992 Dream Team, just so that I can understand what Magic Bird was like. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. If Charles Barkley did like to practice, he didn't like to practice. You know, Drexler, at the time we were being compared, you know, I wanted to see how we compete against each other in a practice setting. Karl Malone, John Stockton, David Robinson. You know, you threw in Kristen Layton or Dookie. You know, we were able to live with that one. But other than that, man, it was a great experience, and I wouldn't change it, because I saw a lot of things about my guys I compete against. You know, and it added to my respect to a lot of them, and obviously I understood, you know, what made them tick, and I think they got an understanding about me too. You know, what made me tick, and you know, we appreciate each other's respect.
Is that game in Monte Carlo, was that as competitive as anything you've ever done?
Best game I ever played in. Best game I ever played in the sense that no coaching. You know, yeah, there were referees, but not really. and you had 10 Hall of Famers playing against each other. I mean, how many times are you going to get that to happen in the game of basketball? I mean, when I say 10 Hall of Famers, first ballot Hall of Famers. It's not even a question. It's not even a second, third, or fourth. They first ballot. And the way we competed, and our desire and the sweat and the trash talking and all the beautiful things about the game of basketball was illustrated in that one particular game. That if you culminate everybody in the Hall of Fame and every game they played in, and you envision a game being played, that's how the game is going to be played.
Last thing I want to ask you. I'm going to ask you real quickly.
All right.
You upset a lot of Tar Heels with your choice of Hall of Fame presenter. We've talked many times. I know how much you looked up to David Thompson, but tell people why. Tell Tar Heel Nation why David Thompson.
Well, it's just simple. No, I couldn't pick one Tar Heel over the other Tar Heel. Once again, go back to Coach Smith saying which one you want to pick over, blah blah blah. And I'm pretty sure everybody would have loved to have done it if I would have asked them. But what made it so easy was David Thompson. I grew up watching. When I was 11 years old, when he was playing for North Carolina State, I idolized him. I patterned parts of my game behind him. He lives in Charlotte, where I work now. He's from North Carolina, Shelby, North Carolina. So there was a bunch of connections there. I mean, my kids didn't even know who he was. I had to tell them, back in 1974 in college, you couldn't dunk a basketball, and the term alley-oop came from this guy, and now they can identify who this. Because I think he deserves that type of recognition, that someone of my magnitude appreciates him, appreciate what he represented to the game. And he impacted my life. And if I've impacted his life by electing him and selecting him, great. I mean, we've done each other a favor here. And for the public who don't really know David Thompson, go back and read. And all the basketball enthusiasts, they know who David Thompson is. And you're talking about someone who's gone through some negative times and bounced back. To me, that is the most gratification that I've ever gotten from David Thompson, is that he made mistakes and he's bounced back and become a better person because of those mistakes. And we all have made mistakes. And to me, he represents, that person that, constantly looks at the positive side of everything, And I was very, very privileged that he accepted, my offer to induct me into the Hall of Fame. And I'm looking forward to seeing how much he smiles. I know I saw him last night. I said, you don't think you belong? I said, yeah, you do. You belong here. And I'm very proud that you accepted my invitation.
Michael, congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, my friend.